Ding, 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 ding. That means we are live. I hear that little bell. Welcome to Dawson and Denise TV. I'm your boy Dawson, along
And I'm Denise.
with Denise. And go ahead and introduce yourself, ladies.
I'm
Ms. D.
Zara. Z
Okay.
Marie in the building.
Z Marie. Okay. And
Miss D.
Miss D. Miss D is joining us too. And we're also going to see Latoya in a little bit. And I'm just really happy about this topic because I was talking to the ladies before we came out that, the title is You Can't Raise a Man, but you can't raise a woman either. And that now we have to have a reality check about what's real. And, in the dating pool today, there are so many people who are coming with I ain't going to say just a bag. They're coming with baggage, a lot of it. And we have to be willing we have to be willing to know what we're willing to deal with and what we're not willing to deal with, and baggage that people are willing to let go of and some people are willing to accept. What do you ladies think about this in 2014, dating or even being married? Because Ms. D, being married in 2014, how is that? How do you hold a marriage, in 2014 with all the craziness in the world?
Yeah, bags don't fly free on the airlines, and that's for a reason. It's just too much. It causes things to happen. Too much luggage, you will crash. So that's why they charge so much. So if you got to pay at your own risk. But like Eric, we'll go back to Erica Badu, how she said pack light, because this stuff, you're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna hurt your back. You can't catch anything holding on to so much.
Correct. You're right.
I mean, I guess what I would say, as far as baggage, since it's a two-part question you asked, as far as baggage goes, oh, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
All right. As far as baggage goes, it's all about what you can deal with. You need to know your own boundaries and what you are willing to deal with. It's not just women that carry baggage. Men can also carry baggage. So it's all about what you're willing to deal with. Know what you want to deal with, what you want to work on. And that's the same thing in a relationship. I think, there's no such thing as a perfect person, but I do believe there's a perfect person for you. And I think that comes down to the things that you can take and can't take. And a lot of people get in relationships thinking they can change things about someone that's really a deal breaker. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if you don't want someone who's like a partier, a club goer, instead of you going into the relationship thinking, well, I'm going to change that about that person, that probably should just be a deal breaker because it's very hard to change people. So I say, number one, go in a relationship with the person that you know how they are right now and make up your mind whether you can deal with that. I'm not saying you can improve yourself, but there are some things that you have to accept about a person that's not going to change. And a lot of people think, well, they have all this good stuff and they have just these couple of bad things, and I'm going to make that change for them. And then they get in a relationship and find out that they can't change the person.
Right.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times people, they are representatives. They're representing themselves in the beginning as something else. So they might not be who you think they are because they did a good job of just pretending for so long. So, it might not be a club person because they were sitting down acting like they want to watch Golden Girls. Then next thing they come out the bag on you and now they at the club every night. You're like, what the hell? But at that time, you also, like Ms. D said, you have to be strong enough to just let it go, even if it does change, because you're not going to misrepresent yourself and thinking that the contract is going to stay good. Null and void.
That's true. And a lot of times, now don't get me wrong, there are some truly devious individuals out there that can misrepresent themselves for a very, very long time. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I say within the first 6 months to a year in a relationship, it's going to come out. And then what it comes down to is what you can tolerate. A lot of times a person can have something about themselves that truly aggravates the other person. They cannot tolerate it. But they will stay in that relationship anyway thinking, I could change that, when they know good and well they can't tolerate it. Then years go by and they end up hating that person for the same thing that aggravated them in the very beginning of the relationship. And women do this a lot. I see women do it more than men. I'm not saying that men don't do it, but women will sometimes take a man who has deal breaker qualities. That's what I like to call them. Deal breaker qualities about themselves. You know what I mean? And they will take that man anyway because they are like, I'm going to change him. You can't change anyone. Get with what you want.
Trying to jump.
Back on that.
Yeah, we back on that. Welcome, Miss Controversy Bird, who's here. Z Marie, you sitting over there quiet. Is this therapeutic for you?
Well, Miss Controversy wanted to piggyback on what Miss D was saying.
Go ahead, Miss Controversy.
Miss D, I have a relative that is experiencing that as we speak. It's been almost 10 years now. And they're in a relationship hating the fact that the other party, you know, has this hobby that they do, and they're really consumed in it. And, you know, 10 years later, it's like, damn, aren't you going to, like, let that rest a little bit? And it's become the center of their problems. And I'm like, well, wasn't that person already into that? They had a hobby. But your hobby as the female, your hobby was the other person. Don't ever make the other person your hobby, because that's when you get that downfall years later when you want them to return to reciprocate it. So you got to check what you want to be reciprocated in the beginning. And if it's not being reciprocated, then that's the equation right there. It's letting you know, as she said, the deal breaker qualities are in full effect.
Exactly. And everyone, and deal breaker qualities are different for everyone. It's not the same for every person. You know what I mean? For example, somebody, a deal breaker quality for somebody may be, I don't want a person to go to the club a lot. But for somebody else, they may be down with that. Or somebody else may be like, well, you know, a deal breaker quality for me is I don't want that person to smoke weed. But somebody else, that may not be a big deal. So it's different for everyone. The main point is to know what it is that you want and what's the deal breaker for you specifically. For me, I would never be with someone who smokes or drinks. That's a deal breaker for me. But another woman can come along and say, hey, that's fine with me. As long as he works, I'm good. And that's good for them. But that's not good for me. That's something that I can end up hating later on down the line trying to change. And what Zahara, was it Zahara who said that?
Miss Controversy.
Miss Controversy, I see that what you described with your cousin, I see that a lot. I've seen several situations exactly like that where they got with someone who had certain qualities about them that they never liked, but they stayed with them anyway, they married them anyway, and now they hate it. Hate it with a passion. Can't stand it.
I hear you. I hear you. Now let's move this conversation to what we were talking about earlier, LaToya. And you talked with one of your good friends who said that we kind of went on the surface of our conversation last time. When we talk about the dating pool in 2014, we have to consider that we are not dating people in the mindset that maybe our grandparents or our mothers were in. You know, we're dating people who have undiagnosed mental illness. We're dating people, some who have come from bad childhoods, who have all that anger and resentment inside of them. We're dating with people who, some people, let's be real, some people are not even, you know, clear on, you know, who they want to date, if they want to be with a man or a woman. Some people are coming with STDs. Some people are coming out of relationship baggage where they've seen their dad beat up women, so their whole thing is this is how you get a woman to submit. They don't know how to talk in relationships. It's my way or the highway. We got people who are coming in with religious dogma. You know, my pastor said a man is the head of the house, and I believe this, and so this is what it's going to be. But hey, that's what you believe for you, what your pastor say. I don't believe that. I mean, we have so many people in that are just, you know, in relationships, and, you know, it's like everybody is just, we're trying out things now because I'm not, you know, I have customers, as I like to call them, but
really, what service do you offer? What service do you offer?
I'm not telling you, but anyway, it's like nobody I know really wants to, I mean, except for you all, but nobody I know really wants to be in a relationship.
And maybe we should stop calling it that, because when you think a relationship is to build, and it's not even that anymore. So I guess you could go with what Dawson's saying. or whatever, the customers. And there's nothing wrong with having customers to see, you know, you shouldn't call it, well, whatever, to see what it is. I mean, to shop around to see what it is you're really looking for.
True. Well, Dawson, I wanna give light to what we were talking about earlier. I had the opportunity to talk to Sir Frederick about 2 days ago, and he watched our Google Talk that we did on Sunday, and he said, you know what? Yeah, you guys are scratching the surface, but take a look at the population pool that you got to choose from. And the moral of the story, guys, it ain't cute. Half of the population in jail, especially talking about our black brothers. Then you have what all the other things that Dawson mentioned, the emotional disorders that are out there. You have those people, not just the emotional. What about the people in the income bracket? You see, you have to give people a survey to really figure out, wait a minute, did you make the cut? And so I think what we have to realize is that people start off with deal breakers from the get-go. So we want to be open-minded in knowing and not be like, oh, he's so cute, and not realize, wait a minute, I didn't want a felon, or I didn't want an ex-con, or I didn't want someone that dated men in the past. You know what I mean?
And I don't think that everybody starts out. And that's my thing. I don't think that everybody starts out with deal breakers in the beginning. And with that being said, some people are afraid to let go because they're looking at the time invested. But who wants to be married for 12 years but only happily married for 2 months? You know what I mean? So when people show you, no matter what time it is, if you cannot take it, I think you should be able to be strong enough to let it go, because it's not going to get any better.
Yeah, and deal breakers come up in the middle of the relationship anyway.
Yeah, and I think people need to take the time to really get to know the person that they're with. If your communication is on point, and that's the other thing that's very, very important in a relationship. If your communication is on point and you're talking to that person and you're communicating with them and you're seeing what their likes and and different things and kind of getting around their family, you hang around somebody's family, their cousins and stuff, you will find out about a person. You can find out. But a lot of people, I think some people don't truly know what their deal breakers are, or really what they want in a relationship, other than the basic things. Everybody knows, as far as a woman, of course you want someone who works, who has drive, a decent job, who looks relatively decent, you know what I mean, and who relatively treats you good. But listen, a man can have all those things, but be a drug dealer. You know what I mean? He can have all those things, but be bipolar. You know what I mean? Or he can have all those things, but he's a heavy drinker. So this is when you have to really, 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 really know who it is you're with, because people don't come wrapped up in a perfect package. People have good and bad in them, okay? You know, you got to decide if the bad they have, what you consider bad, because somebody else may not consider it bad, is what you want to deal with. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of relationships just plain out lack communication. Okay, because like you were saying, someone in a miserable relationship, you can have a woman who's completely miserable and a man who is completely oblivious to her misery and feel that she has no point to be miserable. You may feel, well, what's your problem? I work, I pay the bills. What are you miserable for? That can happen.
Right. Last night I celebrated a friend's birthday, and I happened to sit next to one of her married friends, and we were talking and chit-chatting, and we started talking about sex. And I told him, wow, married people, they always act weird when the sex topic come up. And so I was like, are you getting enough at home? And he just looked at me and he shook his head and he was like, no. And I was like, damn, so what are you going to do about it? And he was like, he don't know. And I was like, so do you guys talk about it? And he was like, no. And I was like, well, what do y'all do? Like, what is this coexistence where y'all just under the same roof and the only thing y'all got in common are y'all kids? Like, this is why people shooting people in the head and then turning the gun on themselves, because they have all of this emotion and everything bottled up. and not talking about it and not dealing with the issues. So I really encourage anybody, whether you're single or whether you're dating or whether you're married, bring those things to the surface. Allow those things that are problems to give you the opportunity to talk about them. And be optimistic. Don't think it's the end of the world.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. Now, we talked about, you know, dating people if they were bipolar and stuff, and that is a big concern because, I mean, people who are dating now, we got people who don't know how to take, I see Marie out there laughing, but we got people who don't know how to take rejection. We got people who don't know how to date. So when you've had your mother who've always cuddled you and told you, oh, you're such this, you're such that, or your father tell you this, and you get on the dating scene thinking that every guy's supposed to treat you like that, you know, like really cater to all your needs and just, you know, while you're dating, and then he's like, yo, let's take things slow, and, you know, you got psycho people out there when you call them once and tell them, hey, yo, let's go on a second date. They're stalking you. And it's like, yo, we just met like a couple of days ago. Let that go. And it's like, we have, what? And then not one of my customers. I was talking to my homeboys at the gym. But here's the thing. I think we have to, like Ms. D said, we have to be clear. And she gave it a time frame that I think is too long. She said about 6 months we kind of know people. I believe within, you can kind of know if, I believe you can know it a little earlier. You know, if you really.
No, I don't think so. I think 6 months to a year is really actually a good time in terms of knowing who someone is, in terms of friendship, in terms of compatibility. Now, in terms of just weeding out weeds, yeah, you might know a weed sooner, but knowing whether you want to spend your life with this person, I think that takes way longer. And the reason, one of the main reasons.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so okay, so in that case I agree with you. One of the main reasons I say that is because as everyone is talking, what I'm thinking is how important friendship is. As we're talking about relationships, I'm thinking how important friendship is. And so for me, I started to switch my mind frame from saying, you know, people got a lot of drama to people have a lot of trauma.
Yes,
trauma.
I agree.
And I was one of those people, and I pat myself on the back every day. You know, I hear the trees clapping when I drive by because I'm so proud of myself for going to therapy, for getting myself together. And now, yes, I want a certain kind of guy. I don't want a good guy. I want a great guy. And I'm a great woman because I put in the work. And so however long that takes, I got to be his friend first, and then I got to move on to, you know, see if there's some compatibility there. And just the other thing I'll say, because everybody's having so many great comments, so I don't want to say too much about this topic, but the other thing I do want to say is that in terms of like your list of expectations and your desires, you know, the characteristics and the qualifications you desire, I really do think we make too much of that. One thing I know is that if you feel good with someone, if you enjoy being with someone, if you want to be there, if they want to be there, that's huge. Because a lot of times what happens is you kind of put the cart before the horse. You put all of the things.
I think, Z-Marie, you went out for a bit there.
I want to piggyback off of what she said. I slightly disagree. I think characteristics and compatibility is very important because I can say that I've seen a relationship within my own family where they were very compatible. In fact, that was the best thing about their relationship, that they got along so very good and that they were close and that they talked about everything. But a big problem in their relationship was mismanagement of money and finances on his part. Made decent money, but who knew where it went? But as far as them getting along, they got along great. They were like each other's best friends. You know what I mean? And he was definitely really, really in love with her or whatever. But his finances and him wanting to be in that club scene was a really, really big issue with them, even though they did get along really, really good.
I think what we're saying and what we're alluding to is that a relationship is definitely dynamic, and if you're single looking for someone, it's a lot of different pillars that have to be checkpoints for you guys out there. You definitely, one, get to know the person. weed them out as soon as possible. Y'all heard on Sunday's show, I do that prayer. Lord, is he for me or is he not? Get out the way if he ain't. And if he is, let me know, confirm that. And then you go on to the next step. And you have to put those kind of things in place. So once you weed out if he's a fool or not, you go on to the next step of friendship and really like building that. And that's what takes time. And then during that time, you guys will realize whether or not this may be something that is for the long haul. And then you need to start discussing those major things like finances. And maybe if religion or health is one of those key points for you. Because even though, you know, I'm a vegetarian most of the time, I may entertain a guy that, you know, is a meat eater. I don't know, but that may be something I gotta talk about.
Meat eater.
That's right.
And I know the title was You Can't Raise a Man, Can't Raise a Woman, but you have to make sure that you're raised yourself. And I think the first step is having accountability, because I remember this lady at work with me that worked for me saying that this guy was online on, you know, one of the dating websites, and he gets to the house, well, they meet up. Now he needs a ride because he got dropped off. You know what I mean?
What?
And he's working on being a citizen of the United States. So when all of this is going on in your life, and I'm not saying that's anything wrong with that, because you're trying to get yourself together, but get yourself together. I don't think you should be trying to pull nobody else into what's going on at that time, because I don't think you're stable enough and ready enough for another relationship, because you haven't even built the one with yourself yet, and it's not complete.
Right. You got to be on top of your shit. You got to be on top of your game in order to, I think, come to the table in a relationship. You should always be striving to be better in order to make a relationship work. And that's on any level. That's on friendship, that's on business, and that's in family, and that's in love. Like, if you're not working on being better, go kill yourself.
Right. And if it's everybody else and you don't even try to acknowledge it, you can't ever be better. And a lot of people don't take, you know, accountability for the things they've done. And people,
that's when you get adults that have these mental, these emotional issues, because they haven't worked on them. They haven't had the opportunity to put the microscope on themselves and really work on their problems. And so
they can't, because it's too ugly. So they're afraid. So it's easier to blame and look at everything else. A lot of people don't like the front-facing camera, but I do. But a lot of people don't like the front-facing camera, so they'd rather take a picture of you and try to show your negative. But you know what I mean? It takes the negative to develop the picture. But you know, they won't do selfies, but they'll show enough take pictures of everybody else in different crowds and post it up and talk about them. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And they can never reflect.
That is so true. But here's the thing. All of us have been in situations where we have been with people who you could tell, okay, they come from, like you said, Denise, they come from a messed up family. They're not raised themselves. But some of us, we get the message and we like, okay, I can go. We went with it for a little bit, or we cut it off when it happened. But there are some people who stay in those relationships, or stay in there for 20 and 30 years, then they're miserable. Then you got this person, and see, I start feeling bad when I see, you know, the 45-year older and up in the club and on the scene where you're like, you too old to be here. Because look here, when you have started, just get at this. If you get out of high school 19, 20, 21, you get married, and no one really preps you for this, and you're with somebody who beats you down, they tear your self-esteem down, and now you're 45, you done got out of a relationship, the first thing you're going to do is what? Get back on the scene. You done lost a little bit of weight. You getting some skin in your clothes. You trying to, you know, do the no flaws with Beyonce. So, or even the men, you're going to get back there and try to get your thug on. So it's like, I don't feel sorry.
Listen, a real man not trying to get his thug on. Let's just go there. I mean, now, I'm not knocking you. You can have your little thug, all right? You know, but I will say you have women, and I find this very interesting. They want to turn a thug into a gentleman. I have always found it strange.
But Miss D, don't act. You've been dated thugs before, haven't you?
Who? Let me tell you something. I learned my lesson at 16 with one little boy who thought he was a thug. And when I realized that he really was trying to be about that life, I wasn't about it. I picked up. That was the last one, the first and last. I was through with that. I'm not the one, but the thing is, you have some women that get with, I guess thugs or street boys or people that's trying to be gangster or whatever they're trying to be. But they want to make that person a gentleman. Like, he doesn't treat me like a lady. He doesn't treat me the way I want to be treated. Okay, well, he's standing on the corner with his pants hanging almost down to his ankles. I mean, what is it that you want?
Well, wait a minute.
Exactly.
I was telling Dawson earlier that, we talking about you can't raise a man, you can't raise a woman, but when you get in a relationship, there is some education that has to go on, and it has to be two-way. You have to teach that person about you, and you need to be on your P's and Q's and learning about the other person if they're not openly, letting you know about them.
And that's what we'll use. We'll use growth, because I don't mind, growing together.
Right.
So we can use that word. So I agree with you. There has to be growth. You can build each other up.
And that's a positive aspect of a relationship, but you got to make sure you are with somebody that's willing to grow and not with someone that is frozen. Some people, I've seen people in their 20s that are frozen in time, like they're not going no higher than the level that they are currently. So you definitely have to make sure you get with someone that is willing to grow, because people really do get stuck and set in their ways and get stuck on being mediocre. But I do believe it's a very good aspect to grow in your relationship, to improve your life, your relationship, and things like that. But you have to be with a person that's on that same mindset also.
Exactly, but you hit a key point. You said people are stuck on mediocre. So what happens when you're the person who has ambition, you have drive, and you're dating, and you see this guy or this girl, and you're in that dating thing or whatever, and then everything is good, but let's say Zahara, she likes to find her things in life. Zahara likes to go to Broadway. Zahara likes to go to Alvin Ailey, and this dude right here, he just good with going to the movies and going out to Chuck E. Cheese.
I'm gonna leave as soon as I find out. I'm gonna leave him right at Chuck E. Cheese with that big ass rat. That's
right. You take your drive and you pull off.
Yes, because I just want to say this really quickly. A friend of mine was telling me today that she met a guy on a dating site. He found her on LinkedIn, and he started to tell her, I hate my job. Can you help me? Is your job hiring? How can sending her his resume? And she told him, okay, she sent him the template. She's in a business program from her business program on how to do a good resume. Long story short, he starts berating her. See, these sisters, y'all don't want to help a brother out. Y'all don't want to help a brother. He wanted her to do the work for him. And that's my example. I've helped enough brothers to speak for myself on this topic. I won't be doing it anymore because I know how it goes. If you ain't got it by the time I get with you, you ain't close to it by the time I get with you. What's been holding you back? You've been waiting on me. You've been waiting on the taxi driver.
And that comes with age.
Not for me.
Because we're not 20 anymore. We're not 17. So at our age, Zahara is right. And they can call us whatever they want to call us. But at that age, no, I'm not doing any projects.
How old are you? You're not that old, Denise. What are you talking about? You still got some more projects in the works.
There's levels.
Throw shade somewhere else.
There's levels of stuff. When you're young and you're 18 and 19 and your early 20s, some stuff you're like, okay. But once you get in your 30s, you're not trying to get with somebody.
Nobody demo.
Yeah, you're like, okay, you need to kind of have your stuff somewhat together. Now, me, I happen to be with my husband ever since I was 20. Okay, so we came together with not much of nothing, but we both had aspirations and goals and where we wanted to go with our education and stuff, and that's what we've done. We have grown in our relationship. But if I was single and I was I'm 34 now, ain't no way. There's no way I'm going to start from the bottom with somebody that's like, hey, well, can't you help me do this? And no, you need to already
put my name on my resume. What?
Right. and I get it with the LinkedIn, like you said, I get it because that's what that site is for. But you should have, like you said, already had it together because they network and, career building and stuff like that. But I'm not doing it for you.
Right.
I'm not
He's
calling
still at
around.
the point of a resume. He's still at the point of that.
Right.
That's not
Mm-mm.
networking.
Right. Stay
That's
ready.
not.
You
Okay,
not getting
okay,
ready.
okay,
Stay ready
okay,
not to
okay.
get ready.
Yeah. Let's move on now. Okay,
Wait,
because y'all trying to
wait,
gang
no,
up.
hey, come on.
No, y'all trying to gang up. I'm the only guy here.
Well,
Okay,
I just want to
disconnect.
say that
what's the last thing? What's the
uh,
last thing?
the last thing that I want to say about this is that women, alpha women, definitely, and sometimes maybe alpha males find themselves in the Jesus Christ position or being the one, as me and Zahara always talk about. Sometimes you need to check yourself. If you find yourself always being the one, always solving all of them problems, you need to regroup sometimes, because you may be playing this crusader role, but you ain't even saving yourself. You feel me? So I definitely want those women, those men that are givers, genuine givers. And I'm saying this because I'm one of those people. Watch yourself. Know when to turn that off and know when to turn up the receive.
And
Like,
that's my main point. What Miss Controversy is absolutely right, because there's no end to that. That is my point.
There's no end to it. Okay, now moving this conversation somewhere else. What are we teaching the younger teenagers who are coming from behind us? Because they're looking at our failed relationships, our failed things. And this is, I mean, you know, I could look at some of my family members and my uncles and, you know, even my mom, her, one of her relationships, where I see little things. And, you know, sometimes this can make you want to get married. It can make you not want to get married. It can make you want to be in a committed relationship from seeing other people's relationships. What are we teaching the younger people, who are the teenagers who are following in our steps? I mean, forget romance. The songs and movies now are saying, hey, just get it in the car. When you go to the movies, tell your parents you're going to the movies, go behind the building. They've skipped the whole romance and grooming, saying these kids know more stuff than, I mean, I'm like, oh my God. It's like, so what are we teaching they know more than we do already on the sex tip. But far as like commitment and relationships, I mean, how do we help them get back to the grooming process of just dating and really courting and not just getting to the sex part? Because I look at the generation I'm in now, where, I mean, all you got to do is hit an app, go online, and you got somebody at your door, you're coming to somebody's door and y'all having sex or going somewhere.
You have to show it to them, not even, you don't even tell it to them. You give your child the affection that they need. You give the child the attention that they need. You give the child the love that they need. And therefore, they will always love themselves. And no matter what happens around them, they will make great choices. You know what I mean? Like with relationships, because of the relationship you guys had, that they had with their parent. Not even seeing, you know, some kids will, you know, model, but not even seeing, just feeling the love from their parents is enough.
I will say that what you're talking about, Dawson, is really a family parent type job, because it's like this. And I tell my kids, you know, I was like, you know, the world is not a pretty place. You're going to see all kind of stuff. Especially when they went into middle school, I gave it to a straight gutter. You may see them around here kissing and doing this. It's the parents' job, not society's job. And the reason I say that, because you have to kind of buffer your kids against society. And what I mean is not keep them sheltered, but prepare them. Tell them what they're going to see. You know what I mean? To help buffer it some, because you cannot expect society, with everything that's out there, like the things that's going on reality TV and different things they see in movies and shows and what they see in school and stuff. You can't depend on that to teach them what a relationship is supposed to be. The parents don't need to be dependent on other people to teach their child what a relationship should be. That is the parents' job. Now, unfortunately, we have an issue with parents being parents. A lot of parents are kids, or they want to be their kid's best friend, or they're so self-absorbed in what's going on with their life, they have no clue what their kids are doing, and that's really the bigger problem there. There's nothing you can do about what's going on in the world. You have to set those standards in-house.
That's true, Ms. D.
And then again, with the word relationship.
I'm sorry, I was going to say, with the parents, they also need to check themselves, because they can be, parents like to talk one way, talking about down one street, and they whole world is on this other Martin Luther King Boulevard. But they telling their children, you know, get over here on Johnson Street when they shooting it up and gang banging and whatever and cheating and got boyfriends, husbands, and a side chick. Like, What do you
Mhm.
expect?
Well,
And
you
then the
know,
relationship, even if you're not with your child's, father or mother, still that relationship to show that, okay, when things are over, it doesn't have to be ugly, it doesn't have to be bad.
Mhm.
Things happen, people grow up and grow apart, but building relationships, and I think when we say relationships, we keep thinking about, you know what I mean, being intimate and things like that. The relation, being able to talk, being
Yeah.
able to discuss your grades, to know that we both have your back, and there's no greater feeling than that. And I think that's the foundation that a child can succeed with any type of relationship.
Support.
okay, great, great, great. Now, when I first started this, I mentioned a couple of baggage that people are bringing into relationship. And when I say the baggage, I'm saying baggage that I've talked to people who are currently in these situations where one person was molested, they're dealing with that, dating somebody who was molested, or one person, Denise, you okay over there?
Are you being molested over
I know, seriously, what's going on, Denise?
there? Girl, say
Oh,
no.
John, I was about to molest this Chipotle. My bad. Y'all heard that?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
sorry.
Yes, we heard everything. Okay, carrying baggage into a relationship where somebody is being molested, where somebody has an STD, where somebody is HIV positive and the other person in the relationship is not, and they went ahead and married them anyway. I know two couples like that, but that is a resounding theme in the world where people go to church and they try to get out and reform their lifestyles if they're lesbian or gay. Now they're ex-lesbian and ex-gay. I know tons of people in the church like that who are marrying people who was an ex-lesbian or an ex-gay, or somebody who has a mental health, a mental disorder, bipolar, schizophrenic, anything like that. All of that is in our dating pool, and I'm not saying none of that is bad because people do whatever they want to do. But if you, what would be your deal breakers? Could you date somebody who was coming out of jail as a felon, and you don't know what happened in jail?
Let
And
me
you know,
start
we have
answer
people.
that. Let me
Go
start
ahead.
right there. The simple fact that they are in jail is a deal breaker for me.
Are you kidding me?
I'm sorry. The way society is set up, once you become a felon, your life is almost over, especially if you are a black man or ethnic. Listen, it's hard for a decent black man who has a college degree, who has no criminal record to get a job. Okay? A black man or an ethnic man that has been in jail that's a felon, we don't even have to get to whether they had a sexual relationship in jail. As soon as you say, I'm not convict, goodbye.
That's a shame. That's a shame. You ain't
Oh,
helping the
that's
brother
my
at
That's
all.
not a
decision. I'm
shame.
not knocking anybody else that listen.
That's not a
Everyone needs
shame.
love too. I'm just saying, Miss D, that's a deal breaker for me.
Dawson, I just want to say that's not a shame because that's just one Miss D. It's 10 girls waiting for him. So that's not a shame.
And they can have them. They can have them.
Okay, now what do you think on the tip of that about, like I said, coming in, there are people with, who are, ex-gay, ex-lesbian and things in the church, and a lot of women are going to church now to find their husband. So, you go to these churches, they tell you, I've known some women who were lesbians and they're not anymore. Men they came out of that lifestyle, they struggle with it, and then the church's remedy for that is to get these people married. Or this person is HIV positive or has another uncurable STD, and they still get married. And my thing is, did you guys go get tested? I mean, because most churches, most pastors most of them would, tell you to go get a health check before they marry you. But some of them probably not these days. So what?
Listen, forget the church. I think that's why we on this platform. We
Mhm.
need to be giving the people the tools on what the freak to do when you meet somebody. So we already done said, check their background, check out their health status, check out their mental status. You want to get with Dawson on that, he can help you figure out if
Yes,
the
sir.
people
Yes, sir.
are, not mentally stable. And that's a deal breaker for me because I don't need you cracking up on on me at the bed in the middle of the night. So
Oh,
that is a deal breaker for me. And by the way, small little side note, my mom dated a white guy who was schizophrenic, and we didn't know it. I knew something was wrong, but you couldn't tell her. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yep.
at the time, but when she found out, she was like, "Toya, I can't deal with that." because one day he gonna be Elvis with a guitar with hair slicked back, and then the next day, this dude look like a hippie, and you like, mama, something wrong, something wrong. So mental illness is definitely a breaker.
And the way Miami is set up, you have a choice. Step over to the other side. It's such a diverse place over here. Why are we trying to just stick to and then complain about we don't have that much to choose from? It's a melting pot out here.
Yeah, I'm definitely open to dating outside my race, and I have. So I think that is one way to get more, like you said, J-Lo, get more in the dating pool. I just wanted to talk real quick on the mental health thing and the deal breakers. I think that if you're going to therapy, if you're on your meds, then you just, semi-crazy, and we all fall under that.
I think, I would like
or if you have HIV, if you have any STD, if you're having a therapy, then, again, you're managing it. And all of us are managing our lives. So I think the deal breaker is such a personal question. It really is.
It is personal to each and every person, but I'm going to have to agree with Miss Controversy. Yeah, mental health issues. Now, if I was already with you and something tragic happened that made you go off, then that's different. But me personally, I couldn't be with somebody that's bipolar or schizophrenia because, okay, let's say I'm just starting off, I don't have any kids. I don't want to pass those genes down to my kids, and that is something serious. With my work as a guardian, I have a mother who is concerned, and the father is schizophrenia, and he has it bad. And, she is constantly checking her son for signs of that. It's genetic in his family. So for me personally, genetics is a tricky thing. It's a deal breaker for me. I'm not going to do it. But I'm not knocking anybody else that's fine with them, because I'm not saying schizophrenia, bipolar people, they can have everything else going on for themselves. But I'm not dealing with it. I don't have time for it.
Yeah, okay. You need to check the emotional background of not just the person. You need to ask questions about the family, and then you need to check on the family. You need to see if you're compatible. And sometimes people say, I'm not dating the family. Well, it all depends on how that person is and how you are. If you're family oriented, you need to check out that scene, because I've been in a relationship in the past, and the mother of my boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend, we were cool, but I always felt that she didn't like me. So I don't deal with the fakeness. So it was always like side eye, and I'm like, man, I ain't trying to go to no cookout with that. And then he's family oriented, and it's like, okay, that's a problem. How we gonna deal with that? Let's put that on the table. So you got to think about credit. You got to think about their job history. You got to think about their work ethic. You got to think about a lot of things. So all the single people, what we saying is run.
But
run
here's
for the hills.
I hear what you're saying, but
it comes down to what's the deal breaker for the person. That's really what it comes down to. It's what Mr. Hara said. It's really a personal choice, and what Mr. Hara Dawson may be like, hey, you managing your mental illness, that's fine. I was just like, no. I'm gonna tell you right now. Tragic things happen in life. How I know you're not gonna just completely break down.
But you don't know that about anybody.
But
exactly.
Your hard-working mate could lose their job. It's true of anything.
Yes. But I'm talking about in here. I'm more talking about. I know stuff happens that cause people to become depressed, but I really was talking about some people have inherited genetic mental health issues. Those are the ones I'm talking about. That's a deal breaker for me. Now, sometimes things happen in life and people can't handle stress good, and they may go through bouts of depression and stuff like that. I'm not saying if I don't put in time, like me and my husband has been married for 10 years. If something tragic was to happen and he hurt his mental state, I would still be there for him because we have a good relationship. You know what I mean? We've been together for a very long time. But I'm just saying that if I would have met somebody back, I guess back when I was 19, because like I said, we've been together since I was 20, and they were suffering from schizophrenia or bipolar. And I think, when I was out there on the dating scene, there were some questionable people. I didn't call them back as soon as I got that hint of craziness. That was it.
Discernment is important, because it was a dude that was trying to talk to me, and my spirit just was like, he got a couple people going on, and I would see different facial expressions, and I was like, mm-mm.
Well, you know what? In my field, there are people who are dating people who are HIV positive, who are mental ill, who have mental illness, and they're doing fine, and they manage themselves on their medication, and they're functioning well. Some of them are functioning better than people who don't have
that's a high quality person. That's anybody that's managing themselves on different levels, whether it's health, whether it's emotion. That's a high quality person. And I think what we're saying to the single people out there is, one, focus on you being a high quality person. Exactly. And that way you will start attracting high quality people. You will know you'll know how to sift through different people that you meet if you focus on being high quality. So shouts out to all the high quality single people. There's somebody out there for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Other thing, there's different levels of mental health too, or whatever, and because you have a lot of people that's coming back, veterans that's coming back from war, and they're suffering. And it's different for everyone. You know what I mean? I'm not saying all mental health issues, but some mental health issues. It's really a personal choice. It really comes down to what I said earlier. What can you deal with?
Exactly, what you can deal with, Well, I want to thank you, ladies, for joining us here on Dawson and Denise TV. Thank you, Z Marie. Thank you, Miss Controversy Bird. And thank you, Miss D. We know Miss Controversy Bird and Miss D will not be having any people who are crazy, or so to speak, in their lives. But anyway, you never know what you'll be able to deal with. Life has a weird way of turning things around. I can't say what I'll do and what I don't do, but we can only just prepare ourselves for, whatever lies ahead. Thank you, Denise, for going in and out eating Chipotle. Was it good?
It was good. You didn't even tell me we were going to have the show, so I was out and about driving.
I thought I texted you. I did. I thought I hit you up. Then I was looking through everything. I was like, oh, my gosh. But, yeah, thank you for that. Anybody, any last things for anybody? Anybody want to promote any more pills or anything like that?
I want to promote something. Definitely find us this Sunday, upcoming. Z Marie and myself will be on Vibrate and Elevate. And, of course, all of you guys are invited, because we're doing this week-long thing about, am I still effing single? Is that your status on Facebook? Or what is your status? And what are you doing to change your status? So definitely look for this to be continued, talking about being single. All right? That'll be Sunday on the Vibrate and Elevate with Blog Talk Radio.
Well, I'm not single. I got the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, all three at once.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
He's so crazy.
Don't do that.
Any more last shout-outs? Anybody say anything? Everybody good?
Thank you guys for watching.
I'm available.
Yeah, I think everybody available.
Look, follow me on Instagram, J_D_low. I think I need to change that much.
I'm willing to travel.
All right. All right. Thank you, Zahar. Thank you, Miss Controversy Word. Thank you, Miss D. Thank you, Denise. And until next time, take care of yourself and each other. Peace.
Peace.